All right. All right. What is good, everybody?
What is up, Jason? Your audio is out, bro. It's muted on your end.
What is good,
There we
everybody?
go.
Now, there we go. Happy Hump Day, Wednesday night. Welcome, everybody. We'll get a blueprint. We're going to talk about the Yankees. We're going to have a little event session and come up with some solutions. And my man Hector here from Knights of Dejan is on. Yankees Morning Brew. We're going to give you guys some insights. We want your insights and give us some feedback throughout the way. We're going to interact throughout this whole thing. So, Hector, thanks for coming on tonight, bro. How you doing?
I'm feeling good, bro. Thank you for the invite, like always. For those in the chat that don't know, my name is Hector, host of the Yankees Morning Brew. I am a content creator for the Knights of Dejan channel, and Jason, has been gracious enough to ask me onto his show. You've been also this entire season, but let's have this therapy session, my guy.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, again, guys and gals, give us your insight. Let us know. We got some comments here already. How are you? Well, before we start, just know if you haven't heard yet, Hal Steinbrenner announced today that Aaron Boone is coming back as manager. Okay, and it's pretty much understood already that Brian Cashman will be back until it's officially announced. But we already know they have some kind of handshake agreement, so it's just a matter of time before they officially announce that too. So, with that said, the structure of the team at the top is already established. Now, we don't necessarily agree with the structure of the team, right? So, what do we need to do, right? What do we 104 people on here, like the first minute. Look at this. Awesome.
Nice. And everybody needs that corner to go vent to. We want to see blood in the water. We're like sharks. After the Yankees got swept, we want to see somebody suffer the wrath of the Yankee fans. Trust me.
Yes, indeed. And we may not all agree to the same path, but we all want our Yankees to win. We want them to do well. We want them to go back to the World Series, right? So I totally get it. But, we're going to go back and forth here. I got some insight. I got a couple links. How would I blueprint this thing? Okay. So why don't we start with some positional guys here? All right. Let's work our way around the horn. So first base, do you have Anthony Rizzo coming back? And if he does walk, because the word is he's opting out, right? We know this already. So which leaves him potentially a free agent, or essentially a free agent. I would love for him to come back. They'll obviously have to renegotiate the contract. There's going to be a couple guys opting out and renegotiating deals, but Rizzo, we know is coming, or he's going, right? So what do we do? Do we re-sign him? How much do we re-sign him for? We talked about this earlier on your channel, right? And if he doesn't come back, who do you have in mind to put in his place at first base? Give me some feedback, man. What do you think?
First and foremost, we had this conversation earlier in the morning on my channel. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around the whole conversation about Rizzo opting out. He deserves it. He's entitled to it. He had a good season. So whatever money he has coming towards him, he earned it. So if I was the Yankees, like I said earlier, Jason, I'm bringing him back, signing him to a 3-year or 4-year deal, 22 million per. He made 16 mil this last year. Or for the season he had, the leadership that he shows, give him a 6 million pay raise and spread it across 3 to 4 years. I'm 100% down for Rizzo to come back. We need him to come back, especially as a left-handed bat in the lineup in Yankee Stadium.
Left-handed bat, contact hitter, leader, great teammate, great player, like all across the board. He's definitely worth a raise and a couple years as well. So I hope he comes back too. Arizona Alley sending some love to Hector. Good to have you here. We got
Appreciate the love.
Palms in the house. All right, let's get a house still burning, baby. And who else we got? Andrea's in the house. What's happening with Judge? So what do we think is happening with Judge? We'll just go to Judge right now. The meat potatoes, the $1 million question. I've expressed my opinion that he's going to walk. Now, and we just don't know either. Like we talked about Sunshine earlier, it doesn't really matter who you bring in for GM, or if you bring in Jeter and you bring in Madden, he could still walk, right? This is a business, and we just don't know right now. But he's in a position to cash in. He's in a position to capitalize, and we already know that the Dodgers are going to make a hard run for him because Mookie Betts is willing to move. The second base is natural position, which creates a huge hole in right field, which is Judge's natural position. So we won't have to play center, right? We already know that the Blue Jays are going to be making some moves as well. So it's going to create a more competitive – it's going to make it harder for the Yankees to re-sign this guy, and which I think is going to be tough. And if you do re-sign him, we're hearing anything from, 8 or 9 years, 40 million per, right? Something like that. So at the end of the day, if you had the gun to the heads, is he coming back or is he staying?
Before I was in the camp that Judge was coming back no matter what. But as you know, the last game against the Astros happened, and you know, all these rumor mills start coming out of the woodworks, and everybody got their different inside source, yada yada yada. I'm on the fence. I'm 50-50. We've all seen Judge since he's come up with the Yankees since his rookie year, and we would like to think that we know him. You know, we know the makeup that he has. You know, we call him Baby Jeter. So us Yankee fans would like to think that we know Aaron Judge when it comes down to his personality. You know, from the person I've seen Judge is, it feels like he has unfinished business, right? And the type of person that he seems like he is he wants to wrap that up before heading off to go try something else. You know, if you before going to greener pastures, as they say.
Yeah.
I want Judge to come back. I want the Yankees to re-sign him, but I do understand it's a business at the end of the day. We saw during this past summer, the chase for 62, his family was going all around the country, you know, following him all around the country. So is that something he wants to have, or does he want to be an hour away from his family, you know, and have his family come to the ballpark an hour away in San Francisco? I don't know. You know, it all depends on Judge and what he really wants. And does he want his legacy to have the captain attached to it, like the captain title attached to it, or does he wants to be the kid that go home and helps the San Francisco Giants get to a World Series? You know,
Yeah.
so I'm 50-50. I'm on the fence with it, bro.
Yeah, I mean, and I totally understand. I mean, this is going to go right down to the wire, and this is like nobody's really showing their cards. We don't really know. We can
Mm,
speculate and predict, right? And we'll be doing our MLB free agent predictions, so we'll know exactly where we think he's going to go and whoever else
yeah.
does. But at the end of the day, like you're right, he does have an opportunity to go to San Francisco, right? And he could be the more popular version of Barry Bonds, right? The
Hmm.
nice guy version of Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
All into McCovey Cove all day, into the water and whatnot. But like Bonds was revered in San Francisco, but he was hated around baseball. So
Hmm.
Judge is one of the more popular players in all of the game. So
Hmm.
that's a contrast between him and Bonds. They're still power hitters, and they haven't had somebody like Bonds since he's left. So the the appeal of bringing Aaron Judge there in San Francisco is a big one, is a really big one. And again, the Dodgers are going to make it hard, and we know that a bidding war is going to happen. Like he's probably going to be maybe one of two $300 million guys this year. I think the other one's going to be Trey Turner. Um,
Yeah.
I think Trey Turner is going to be this year's Corey Seager with the big deal. So, but there's a lot of, I think there's going to be a handful of teams that are probably going to present offers. They're all going to be really strong. So it
Hmm.
forces the Yankees to have to put out their best foot and their best offer forward, right? And it's the only way they're going to get them. You're not going to get them for less than $300 million now, because to look at the teams that are going to be bidding for them, like
Hmm.
I just can't see it happening. So like the Yankees have to acknowledge that. And again, if they're going to go for Judge, they need to put the right complementary pieces around him too, right? So,
Yes.
and like we said earlier, and if people don't have confidence in Hal's ability to lead in Cashman and Boone's, right? So I think surrounding the team with more leader type veterans are going to be important. So surrounding it with more leader type players without having to rely on Boone and the rest of these guys is going to be really important. Who those guys
Hmm.
are, that still remains to be seen. I got a couple names here that I'll go over, but at the end of the day, the big question is going to be what to do with Aaron Judge, and I think everything's going to be on hold until they figure that out. But this has to happen soon, which I think is why they didn't go on an in-depth managerial search, right? Or GM,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
and if I can, you know, just for the chat, no, this is a conversation we had earlier on my channel on the show. I know a lot of fans, they aren't happy with upper management, right? They aren't happy with Brian Cashman. They aren't happy with how Aaron Boone handled his team. You know, when it comes to Cashman, the Yankees need to have Cashman in place to have these negotiations with Aaron Judge. I said it before. The Yankees can't go into the Aaron Judge conversations while searching for a new GM, right? They need to have somebody spearheading that conversation. And as much as Yankee fans don't like it, it has to be Brian Cashman. You know, at the same time, Brian Cashman has been a part of the Yankees organization since 1986. You know, people joke around that he's the third Steinbrenner kid. When you look at proof is in the pudding, him and Hal, they do have that big brother, little brother relationship. They have that relationship, and we need Cashman to be here for these conversations with Judge.
yeah, absolutely. And as much as the appeal of having Jeter potentially be a GM or Theo Epstein the reality was very, very little, that was small, that was going to happen. Like the UFC is probably the next in line to be commissioner of baseball, and Jeter's
Hmm.
not going to take a rush decision on being a GM of the Yankees. That's
Yeah.
something he's going to have to move from Florida to New York, and that's something. It's not like moving from Brooklyn to Queens.
No. No.
You're
No.
moving
No.
across all the way up north. So it's a big change for him. So at some point he might be right.
Hmm.
At some point Mattingly might be the manager, but it wasn't going to happen this year. That was just the
No.
piece that didn't fall into place for these things to happen. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, but heading back to, I mean, and Sean, we'll get to that too. We do need a closer. We're going to go over everybody's thing now. If Rizzo
100%.
didn't come back, I have a couple of guys. I have Jose Abreu because he's one of the better contact hitters in baseball as a free agent. Even though he's older, he still hits with massive power. He won the MVP
Hmm.
years ago. Or Josh Bell could be a stopgap because
Hmm.
it's somebody like maybe Spencer Jones if they move him to first base, Austin Riley. The Yankees have prospects
Hmm.
translate over to first base. So I think any of these guys will be a stopgap. Or lastly, you'd have DJ just playing first because he can credibly do that. And then he won't clog up another infield spot, which will leave room for other players. So
Yeah.
now let's move over to second base. What are your thoughts there?
When it comes to second base, like you said, if Rizzo was to walk, then we have DJ primarily playing first base. But when it comes to second base, Gleyber Torres, he has a little bit of value still attached to him. He's still young. He still has a little bit of value. When it comes to Gleyber Torres, it's a love-hate relationship with Gleyber Torres. We watch him for a week and we love him because he looks like the Gleyber Torres from the first 2 years that he was in the major leagues. But then he reverts to trying to hit it out the ballpark, and he looks like Joey Gallo up there at the plate. So when it comes to Gleyber Torres, I would say trade him. His time here in New York is ran his course, just like Miguel Andujar. It's ran its course up here. See whatever value you can get back for him. And depending on how the first base situation shakes out, either a combination of either DJ or Cabrera, Oswald Cabrera, or Cabrera at third base. It just depends. I like the fact that the Yankees do have a lot of young infielders on the rise, so it's easier for us to answer that question with all those young players coming up instead of the Yankees panicking and trying to trade for another veteran that's not going to work out like Josh Donaldson.
Yeah, and which to your point too, and to tie it in with Sean Browning, we need a closer, right? So I had a
Mhm.
trade proposal for Gleyber Torres, and I think I mentioned earlier that I would try to package him with like Everson Pereira, number
Mhm.
5 prospect, maybe someone else to the Detroit Tigers if I could. And Torres is boys with Javi Baez, so that the dynamic
Yeah.
fits. And
Mhm.
they need a second baseman and an outfielder, or Estevan Florial, like you mentioned too. I try to
Mhm.
package him to Detroit and try to get Gregory Soto, their closer,
Mhm.
come over here. It gives us a dynamic left-handed reliever that can plug into the bullpen, and then which leaves second base open, like you said too. Whether it's a prospect or stopgap, my stopgap would be like an Adam Frazier because he's
Yeah.
plays multiple positions, and I think he's an upgrade or a better version of Marwin Gonzalez. So we're going to need
Mhm.
something like that if we're not utilizing Oswaldo Cabrera in the multiple position role. So he's 30. Okay, he's a pretty solid player as well. He's a good on base guy. He's a good contact hitter, which we need more contact hitting and
Mhm.
left-handed side. So, and he's got a penchant for getting big hits. He was in Seattle in the playoffs this season. So, he's a guy I would look at as well. And as a
100%.
stopgap, so somebody like Anthony Volpe's ready or something like that, instead of just throwing him to the
Mhm.
wolves. You can throw him to the wolves, but I don't want to slow his development down at all. So,
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Development is key, especially for these young kids coming up, because even, if the plan is to, overspend for Judge and lock up Judge for the next 8, 9, 10 years, whatever it is, we need a hit on these prospects coming up. This next batch of baby bombers, they need to hit. These position players, they need to hit. They need to live out to their full potential, and we need to see some all-stars coming out. We can't just have one all-star like we did with the last group with Judge.
yep, exactly. And the Yankees do need to strike out less, which is the increase the need for more contact hitters, right?
Hmm.
Contact hitting is not only getting base hits, it's putting the ball in play too. Even if you
Yeah.
don't, you run it, you move a guy from first to second or second to third with a grounder. It's something that IKF does a lot. He actually has the second highest contact rate in all of baseball, which is just crazy, but he does. So, and a grounder or a sac fly to drive in the guy, all those little things add to the contact rate. So
Hmm.
they do need to strike out less. And speaking of that, I mean, we'll get to this too. Aiden St. John, let's look at Justin Verlander. You mentioned that earlier. He would be a
Hmm.
huge get. And if I could just interject something, well, two things. Number one,
Go
if you
ahead.
guys haven't hit that like button, please smash the like button. Let's get the likes up. I was greatly appreciated. But back to Justin Verlander. When Cole was at his best, he had Justin Verlander pushing him when he was
Yep.
right. And
Hmm.
Justin Verlander, somebody like that over here, I think he pushed Cole again. So instead of Cole having to carry the load for the starting rotation, which he did most of the years, with the exception of this year, Cortez was a
Hmm.
very, very stable guy, but there were holes in other areas. So getting a guy like Verlander would push Cole, in my opinion. It would be like a
Yeah.
one B. What do you think? What's your take on
Oh,
that?
I 100% agree with you because while at the same time, having Justin Verlander in the rotation will help out Garrett Cole. It will help out everybody else. Slotting Nestor Cortez instead of having him as the number 2 starter, you have him as the number 3 starter. I don't know another number 3rd starter in a rotation around baseball that can beat Nestor Cortez. And then you have Luis Severino. You slot him to the number 4 spot, have him as a 4th man in the rotation, and then Frankie Montas as a 5th starter in our rotation. That right there to me is has potential to be something special. And then we have Clark Smith, Domingo Herman as long relievers. So if you have to give Frankie Montas a start off, you can. If you have to have Luis Severino, Nestor Cortez miss a start, you can with Clark Smith and Domingo Herman. I think having Justin Verlander to be that ace A or A2, however you want to put it, behind Garrett Cole, I think that would be super important for this rotation. And we need to do it. We need to have the same mindset that we went into the 2008 offseason with. After we didn't make the playoffs, open up that bank, do what you got to do to get back to on top.
Yep, and he's a gamer too. And I keep hearing he's done a lot for Framber Valdez, and
Hmm.
he catch game 3 against us the other day. The kid no hitters for 7 innings.
Hmm.
Christian Javier, he's done a lot to help develop these guys. So I think he can bring that same leadership mentality. And he's fearless too, man. He's not afraid of anybody. He just goes after people. So,
Yeah.
which is something I like. But I think it would complement Garrett Cole in such a way that would make him a hell of a lot better. Now, going back to, and we'll get to you, Sean, because you make a good point too. Benintendi does need to resign. We'll get
Hmm.
a little bit more to Stroll too. I mean, the scroll here, we're a little bit behind, but Tyler Talbot, thank you for joining as a membership. Appreciate you. Welcome to the 1612, brother. And Rizzo, yep. But let's pivot over to shortstop. What are they going to do? Like, obviously, I can't play that position most of the season, right?
Hmm.
There's a good chance Donaldson leaves. Do we pivot him over to third and open up an area for shortstop? And if they made all this room and all this stuff to try to get Oswald Peraza some reps, is he going to start or are they going to bring in somebody?
For me, when it comes to shortstop, and this is all in the realms of if we bring Judge back or even if Judge was to walk. So this is in the same conversation. So if Judge was to walk or even if we bring him back, I think our shortstop for the future has to be Trey Turner. Trey Turner is who we have to sign to play because his versatility on top of that. He could play shortstop, he could play second base, and he was playing center field for the Dodgers sometimes. So you could have him playing the outfield, playing left field in Yankee Stadium if like Andrew Benintendi gets hurt or something like that. So his versatility is what attracts me more than his at bat. His bat is special as well. He's a contact hitter. His speed is also something that's special. So all of that is a part of the conversation. So I would love Trey Turner at shortstop. If we can't get Trey Turner, I love Tom Cruise. If that's the real Tom Cruise in the chat, Dansby Swanson is somebody that I feel that he has the clutch gene. He is special, especially fielding at his position. But when it comes to Swanson, he's more of a long-term lock at shortstop. When it comes to Trey Turner, you can move him around. So if Volpe does come up, we can have Volpe play shortstop and move Trey Turner around, whether it be second base or in the outfield, however it works out.
That versatility is absolutely important. I'm glad you brought up Swanson because Swanson was my other guy. Like he's probably
Mhm.
a more affordable version of
Yeah,
a Trey Turner, or I don't think Xander Bogaerts is a fit. Yeah,
it's me, Top Gun.
and Carlos Correa, we mentioned. I mean, he's a good player, but like I can understand if you want to be universally hated, you bring him in, but he's not a fit for me. Um,
Yeah.
this isn't about me. I think Swanson or Trey Turner, if they go down that road, if they go down the prospect route, then Oswald Peraza has to be the guy. He's the number
Mhm.
one prospect in the whole system, number one shortstop. So he has to be the guy until he proves otherwise, right? But
Yeah.
if they plan on spending, then one of these guys would be cool, and then you can use Oswald Peraza in a trade to get somebody big piece.
Mhm.
Bring in a trade.
Or move him around to second base. However you want to do it. That's why I like the versatility from both Peraza and Cabrera because they could play multiple positions.
Exactly. And having that interchangeable flexibility is absolutely key, which is why I like a guy like Adam Frazier because he plays the infield and the outfield. And that
Mhm.
versatility, and again, Trey Turner is a gamer. He's
Mhm.
fearless. He's a good contact hitter who just happens to have speed and power too. So he's like a five-tool guy. So he would be a guy I would welcome here as well. And again, that boils down to Hal. He's got to open up the checkbook, right? He's got.
Hmm.
It's important for him to communicate to the fans that he cares more
Yeah.
about winning than he does about making money. So, and like we said earlier, what's more lucrative than winning a championship in New York? Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. So invest in the product and you win. They'll be swimming in money. They'll be wiping their butts with $1,000 bills. Like
Hmm.
it is that way. So I hope that Cashman can show some nuts every now and then. Be like, look, I can build you a team, but I need to have it uninterrupted, and I need to show that I can do that. And he's been overruled by Hal quite a few times too. Like he's also made some blunders. So they need to bring in the right guys. But like, and, and if he stays here, then doesn't get it done, then you move on from Cashman. Particularly right now, since Judge kind of we need Cashman to be here to make decisions on these impending free agents, especially Judge. They
Yeah.
they had an opportunity to trade Judge once he turned down that extension, and I said that earlier. They squandered that opportunity. Now they're going to lose him for nothing. So
Hmm.
you have two options: you can sign him to a boatload, or you can let him lose. You can lose him for nothing. So
Yeah.
that's the predicament they're in.
Yeah, and you never know if those compensatory picks or whatever it's called, you really don't know if they're hit or miss. I understand the one we got back when Nick Swisher signed with Cleveland was the pick that we used for Aaron Judge. So yeah, there are opportunities that we could hit gold late in the first round, but you don't want to rely on that. It's either you want to have him locked up for the next 10 years, or you want a valuable package of top prospects that are already top prospects ready to go.
Yeah, he would have gotten a Soto package, at least a
Hmm.
Soto package. Like, and but that's done.
Yeah.
So, and we'll get to that too. But like, let's move over to third base. Who do you have at
Mhm.
third?
For third base, now this is where it's interesting because if we don't get Trey Turner, right, and we just stick Peraza at shortstop, for third base, you brought his name up, but you had him in the conversation at shortstop, Carlos Correa. Now, if Carlos Correa comes out and says, I'm willing to move from shortstop to third base, because if you guys remember last offseason when the Mets were rumored to bring Javi Baez back, Carlos Correa said that he's willing to play third base in order to play with Lindor and Baez and with the Mets, right? Now we saw Carlos Correa this postseason. He had that little Yankee mustache, so he was trying to debut. He was having his early little interview, flirting with the Yankees, right? But if Carlos Correa, comes out and says that he wants to play third base for this team, he wants to be the next A-Rod, the next Gold Glove third baseman for the Yankees, I'm for it. But if it's for shortstop, no, I don't. The Yankees have Volpe for the future, and they've been telling us fans that Volpe is the future shortstop. So I don't want to clog Volpe up or position or clog somebody up at shortstop, blocking Volpe, and then the excuse is, oh, we have somebody else at that position, we can't bring him up.
You're right, exactly. Which allows them to either, I think they're going to move Donaldson one way or another. That
Yo,
leaves,
yeah, Donaldson's not coming back.
I don't think so either. That leaves IKF, which he could be a utility guy too, play
Hmm.
multiple positions if they keep him. They can
Yeah.
put him in a trade too, and then just put a shortstop, put a prospect. They put Oswaldo Cabrera at second if they want, and
Hmm.
leave things open if Correa goes to third. And I think Correa would be a better fit here at third base than he would at shortstop. So
Hmm.
agree. I couldn't agree more with that. In a crazy world, they could do Correa for third and freaking Trey Turner for second. Like that would be
Yeah,
nuts.
that would be nuts. Yeah. I'll sign up for that too. Lock me up for that.
Oh yeah, maybe expensive, but this is the type of expenditure and investment that a lot of fans need to see Hal make, right? And again,
Hmm.
you got to show some sack, and there's a lot of people pissed off. I mean, we got Matt saying, and rightfully so. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And Yankees can get nimble. So we'll talk about that too, Chris, when we get to the
Hmm.
outfield. Like that would be a construct. You think about Correa at third, and then Peraza at short, Trey Turner
Hmm.
at first, and Rizzo. I mean, Trey Turner at second, and Rizzo at first. That's a crazy good infield.
Yeah, and then Trey Turner automatically becomes our leadoff hitter. Trey Turner is automatically our leadoff hitter. Carlos Correa, you could put him behind Judge, however you want to put it. But even when it comes to Correa, as much as I love Correa, he's just too injury prone. I can't see myself if I'm a GM, if I'm a owner of a team, I can't see myself committing to Carlos Correa for more than 5 years. I'm giving you 5 years at 30 million per year or 32, however you want to put it. But I'm not going past 5 years. I'm sorry, Correa. That's why I cut it off.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that too. I mean, if you can get him for that, then it's definitely worth it. He's only 28, so
Hmm.
and at the end of the contract, he'd be 33. So that I mean,
Yeah.
I would sign up
Yeah.
for that in a heartbeat. And Trey Turner is also 28, so you're getting some youth.
Hmm.
And again, you're getting some really, 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 really good.
Give them offer both Trey Turner and Correa 6-year deals with an opt out after the third year for both of them. That way they could go back into free agency and still try to get a bag for another long-term deal.
Yeah, and I think that's how I would do it too. Give an early opt out. We get a couple years, and if you want to move
Hmm.
on, you can move on, and that's totally
Yeah.
fine. We'll have more prospects developing, right? And and this is also if for some reason we'll get to Judge. If for some reason Judge walks, pairing, getting those two guys becomes at least more urgent or necessary for me. Correa and Turner, if you can get that, or it's two big players one way or another to make up for Judge, right? And I think that's going to happen at some point. All three is possible, but likely,
Hmm.
no, improbable, probably. So, but pivot to the outfield now. Left field, I got Andrew Benintendi coming back. Who do you have?
I got Benintendi coming back also. If I'm the Yankees, I'm offering Benintendi the same contract that we offered DJ LeMahieu, that 5-year deal, but I'm hitting him with $100 million over 5 years, 20 million per.
5 times. I think that can get it done. And just
Hmm.
if you got Benintendi and Trey Turner, I would bet Benintendi first and Turner second,
Hmm.
because he's a little bit more of a run producer than Benintendi is, and then you'd be ridiculous at the top. And but
Yeah.
you can change them too. But I think both of them should be at 1-2 if that happened. And then
Hmm.
if Correa came, you could have him third or fourth. Like there's so many.
However you want to do it. Yep.
Yeah, and it's you wouldn't have to worry about like Judge carrying a lot of the lineup and Stanton when he's healthy. Like those two guys mask a lot of bad performances by the rest of the offense, right? Because the offense is so good when they're healthy. So, but we need more balance across the board. And like Correa's a good contact hitter, ridiculous defender, right? Correa,
Oh, if I can real quick, I want to shout out Yankees War Room. I follow that channel. I'm a big fan of the content that they put out. So Yankees War Room, salute my guy. Very good content that you put out.
welcome, more room. It's always good to have you, man. It's always good. He's been with us for a long time. He's part of the
Hmm.
161 OGs. Dev, hello, what's going on? Again, we are behind a little bit on the scrolls here, so I'll punch it forward here. But yeah, I mean, and we'll get to the outfield too. But so left field, right? Benintendi, we both in agreement on that. Center field, are we both in agreement on Bader?
Yeah, I think Bader has won us over. All I gotta say is Montgomery who Monty who. That's
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
that's all I have to say. Who?
Made people forget. It made people forget. Exactly. Now moving to right field, which is the most interesting, is Judge playing right field or is somebody else playing right field? If Judge stays, obviously it's Judge. If he
Hmm.
goes, then I could see the Yankees going after somebody like Brandon Nimmo from the Mets.
Hmm.
I consider Michael Conforto too on like a 1 or 2 year deal, a 2 year deal with like an opt out after one, kind of like a prove it thing because he's healthy. We probably get
Yeah.
him a low money deal, and then he can walk if he plays really well, and it gives the Yankees a good year of production. But Nimmo would be another guy. He's a good contact hitter as well. He's kind of right across the board. So and he hits lefty, so it gives us another lefty contact hitter. Um,
Hmm.
who could you see if Judge isn't in right field?
I it's hard to even think, bro, because like I said earlier in the morning, there's no alternate timeline or there's no multiverse out there where I see Aaron Judge walking away from this team and our team being better next year than what it was this year without Aaron Judge. I don't see a reality when it comes to that. So when it comes to Judge, the Yankees got to do what they can to re-sign him. If he walks away, Nemo, move Benintendi either from left field or right field and put Cabrera back in left field. Josh Bell, he was also spotted at first base and in the outfield as well. That could be a situation that you could platoon him either first base or the outfield if Rizzo was to walk. Um, it's just I don't. Michael Brantley, maybe because he's a free agent also, but then that's another Houston guy that it feels like, oh, well, you just want to get all the other Houston guys. Um, I like I said, Benintendi in right field, and then have Cabrera play left.
Yep, all viable options. And I
Hmm.
understand. I'm seeing some of the comments here. I understand the anti Carlos Correa sentiment too. So
Oh yeah, I get yeah. Trust me, yeah.
there's an argument to be said for both sides, right? And if you
Hmm.
go on, there are other guys. You could play DJ at first. I mean, DJ at third, and then have Trey Turner still. And like, there's other ways you can do this. You can also try to get Brian Reynolds for the outfield. Like, if you get Brian Reynolds from Pittsburgh, and then you have Benintendi and Bader, that's a ridiculous outfield.
Hmm.
Ridiculous. So there's a lot of different ways this can be done. So, but I totally get the anti-Carlos Correa sentiment because he's tied to the
Yeah.
cheating scandal and whatnot. I totally get it, and
And
that's
it puts a bad taste in Yankees. And trust me, I'm just saying it because I'm just throwing out hypothetical options, right? And I get it. As a Yankee fan, it puts a bad taste in my mouth when we're talking about these Houston players, and whether it's bringing Justin Verlander in, right, or
Mhm.
bringing in Carlos Correa, having those type of conversations. I get it. Carlos Correa was attached to that team from the cheating years, the garbage cans. I get it. One player I would never entertain bringing, that's Jose Altuve. That's a player I would never entertain bringing over here to the Yankees, or Bregman.
Right.
Those two players, that's where I draw the line. Carlos Correa, but those two is where I draw the line.
Yeah, and those two guys, I remember them blatantly lying right on TV when they were asked to be impressed about the cheating. Those are the two bigger culprits too. So like
Hmm.
again, I mean, remember the manager and the GM were held accountable, suspended, fired, blah blah blah, and this and that. The reason why is because they're not union protected. The players are.
Yes.
Players got this, and that's all they got. So
Hmm.
that's something that needs to be. But again, Correa, I don't remember him being a dick at any point talking about the cheating. Altuve and Bregman were blatant about it. So
Yeah.
I'm 100% on not wanting either one of these guys to be here.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah,
again,
I just go back and I remember that press conference from spring training where Bregman was holding his hands like he was Lex Luthor or something, and just twiddling his fingers like, bro, what are you doing? Just shut up. Just admit what you was wrong and stop trying to just draw out an excuse.
yep, you're moving on. Like when Andy Pettitte got busted for taking GH or whatever he took, he owned up
Hmm.
to it immediately, and people forgave him. They moved on and
Yeah.
embraced the Mac again. So that type of stuff, that type of situation, if you do that, I think you're in a better position.
Yeah, for me, honesty is always the best policy. You always, if you honest with me, I may not trust you, but at the same time, I'm gonna take you for your word.
Exactly, exactly. And so I totally get that. But like, so that's we kind of have the outfield settled now, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
options now. DHing Stanton, right?
Stanton, yeah, we're locked into Stanton's contract unless he decides that he wants to retire or he requests a trade from the Yankees.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's going to do that with 5 years to go. So I think
Yeah.
he's still on track for 500 home runs. It would be
Hmm.
kind of cool if he stayed healthy and got it here. So
Yeah, and the Marlins, they're tied to $10 million per season of
yep,
his salary until 2026. Then 2026, 27, 2027, and 2028, the Yankees are on the book for the entirety of his salary. But until then,
yeah,
the Marlins, yeah. So if you look at it, we're only paying 25 million per season for Stanton's contract, which is kind of a bargain if
yep,
he's healthy. If he's healthy.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's the key, man. And well, and now speaking of health, right? So catcher, we have Jose Trevino. His
Mm,
offense fell apart in the second half of the season, particularly in the playoffs. He was exposed for being basically a mediocre hitter, right? Now we
hmm
have Ben Rortvedt coming, and I think he'll be at the platoon next year, unless they bring in uh, do something. And this is a position where I think they could bring in a fearless leader. Now I'm not talking about Wilson Contreras. I'm not talking about Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy is an appealing guy. He's a move
hmm
back from Oakland. I'm talking about Christian Vasquez from the Red Sox. Okay, he's a leader, and he does a really good job at keeping things together, and he's a vocal leader.
hmm
And again, going back to that leadership thing, I think we need guys like that. Now, would they trade one of these guys, Trevino? They might. They might. They're young and they have several controllable years. We love Trevino because he does a
hmm
great job at managing pitchers, but so does Rortvedt. So, but this is a position where I think it's possible to either hold three catchers or bring in somebody like that uh, to really, really, elevate that staff and just elevate the team's atmosphere and energy. What are your thoughts on that?
Me personally, I'm not going into the season counting on Ben Rohrback to be a major factor on the major league roster. You cannot go into, especially he was non-existent this entire season. Even in the minor leagues, he only played like I think 15 games in the minor leagues or 15 at bats in the minors, if that. So we can't go into this season expecting him to be a big part of this team. So I'm going into the offseason trying to get Christian Vasquez. I love Christian Vasquez. Even when he was with the Red Sox, and how many big hits did he get for the Red Sox against us? So many times. It felt like he was always coming up with runners on first and third and always coming through with a big hit against the Yankees, right? So having him, and he knows his role as a secondary catcher. He knows that he's a number two catcher. So having a combination of him and Trevino splitting the time, both defensive minded catchers, whatever you get out of them offensively is a bonus. So I'm going into this offseason trying to get Vasquez. And if Vortback comes through in the minors and he proves himself, then it's just bonus. It's just icing on the cake for us.
Yeah, exactly. And I got to give a shout out to Ryan Simmons. He kind of inspired me to look a little bit deeper into Christian Vasquez. So
Mm.
shout out to him for helping me pay more attention to him. But yeah, like Dion said, Sean Murphy would be intriguing. There's some intriguing options at catcher, but again, they got to figure out what to do. I mean,
Yeah.
I need somebody to have a little bit more of a balance with Jose Trevino if he stays. He played a
Mhm.
lot of games, right? I think they're going to move on from Kyle Higashioka. And I thank him for his time here. He's got a
Yeah.
year of arbitration, so he can trade him for something. And
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, those are the types of guys I think, and I still understand. Like, there's a lot of folks that are saying F. Correa this, and I totally get it. Totally.
I get it too. Trust me, I get it also. But this is just a hypothetical. If we're trying to improve the team, you can't say that Carlos Correa is not a phenomenal Major League Baseball player. As much as you want to hate him or hate on him, he's a phenomenal baseball player. Like I said, the only thing with Carlos Correa is his injury history. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not committing to him more than 4 to 5 seasons, right? Give him an opt-out after year 3, but I'm not committing to him longer than 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I am not of the opinion that if we don't get Correa, then the team is screwed.
Yeah, he's not the savior that we want on this. No, he's not our savior we need. No. I agree. Yeah.
Nobody really is right now. There's a bunch of holes that need to be filled, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take several moves to do it. So, what's good, Fortrain? What's good, brother?
Mikey Mazza in the building. Fortrain, what is good, baby?
House, baby. Yeah, we talked about.
Oh, I think I saw. I thought my fault. I think I saw Halal in the chat also. Backstage baseball. Halal, what's good?
In the house too. What's up backstage? Yeah, we talked about this a little bit ago. Fortrain. Trey Turner's one of our. He's high on both of our lists.
Yeah, he definitely is. Yeah, I love his versatility.
Yeah, his versatility is key, man. He can move around the field, so that's key. And having guys that can play multiple. One reason people like Volpe and Peraza and some of these other guys is because they can play multiple positions. We haven't had guys in a while. Now we have like 8 of them who can do it. So Oswaldo Cabrera plays infield, outfield, like he's all over the place. So versatility is absolutely a big plus for this team. Now let's pivot over to pitching. Okay, who do you see as our starting rotation? I see Cole, obviously, Cortez. I see them exercising the $15 million team option on Severino. Montez, I think, is probably going to be the number 5 if he comes back healthy. But number 4, I think, is wide open. And if I'm them, I'm going hard after Carlos Rodon.
To me, Carlos Rodon is option B. If we can't get Verlander, because rumors had it, and Michael K talked about this. I have my love-hate relationship with Michael K. Everybody know I call Michael K the human thumb. So Michael K was talking about how Justin Verlander, basically it was almost a signed deal that he was going to come to the Yankees last offseason. But at the last second, Houston matched the offer and he decided to go to Houston. So if it's a scenario that we can entertain or we can have the conversations with Verlander, I always thought Verlander would never come to the Yankees just because of his ex-wife's connection to A-Rod. Right. So I always thought that the Yankees was never a destination for Justin Verlander because of that. You don't want your wife to have to deal with A-Rod and ESPN for 8 days out the year. So, yeah, that's what I always thought. Verlander would never come to the Yankees. But if he's willing to come and the Yankees are willing to pay him that money, I will bring Verlander. But if we can't get him, Rondon would be a perfect option B.
Rondon, yeah. I mean, like you said, too, I mean, it would be a really good scenario if Verlander, and I think he would be. If the Astros lose the World Series, I could see it easier for him to walk. If they win, I could see him staying there, right, and trying to let's do it again, or like, And so I hope the Phillies kick the crap out of them. So
Yankee South. That's the Phillies. Yankee South.
Exactly, man. So it happens. But, I mean, how could you? I can't complain if Verlander comes here. Now, Verlander and Rodon will be phenomenal again, and which will cost. I mean. You figure Verlander is probably going to get 30 probably.
Yeah, 30, 35, 2 years.
Then Rodon probably 20, maybe a little bit more. They could probably get Rodon for 5 and 100 too, I think.
Now, what scares me about Rondon is that this is the only season that Rodon didn't break down after the All-Star break, right? So this is the only season that he was healthy and he didn't break down after the All-Star break. Yeah. And when you're a pitcher going to free agency and you only had one of those seasons, I get pretty worried. Just like the Yankees traded for Frankie Montas, I was worried because the Oakland A's, they don't have a very good track record trading away their starting pitchers and those pitchers performing elsewhere. The only one that has performed elsewhere outside of Oakland was Tim Hudson with the Braves. Besides that, every other ace Oakland traded away or left Oakland never was the same.
Yeah, Mulder was no good. So, Sonny Gray
Yep.
was great. I mean, Barry Zito was terrible in the Giants. Like,
Yep. Yep.
about that. It's a good point. And again, like it's just it's such a dicey situation with pitching, which is one reason I would make him the number 4 starter to kind of
Hmm.
help limit his innings at the very least, and a little bit at least. So, well, I mean, he threw like 130 this inning, or maybe 140 innings, and he got 200 something strikeouts. So he's definitely a power arm, and
Hmm.
he's also younger than Verlander by like 8 years.
Hmm.
The age thing has an advantage, but you're right. He has shown a tendency to break down. So,
Hmm.
and we need durable guys.
Yeah.
So
But
Verlander,
it works out for us because just like the Verlander scenario, if we get Verlander, we can slot him into that 2 spot in the rotation, move everybody else down, and then we have Domingo Herman and Clark Smith in the bullpen to be those long relievers or spot starters. If we get Rodon, the same thing. We could slot Rodon as the 4th. Oh, Jason, come back, please. I get nervous when I'm by myself on screen. But yeah, like I was saying, if we get Carlos Rondon, we could slot Rondon into the number 4 spot, have Frankie Montas pitching right behind them. And then when you have to have Clark Smith and Domingo Herman, be those spot starters, you can have them be those spot starters. I'm gonna just go through the chat until Jason comes back with us. But yeah, let's see. Chris N says if Judge walks and the Blue Jays go after Otani, we have to beat him on that deal. When it comes to Otani, I think Otani wants to stay on the West Coast, but at the same time, we never know because we're not in Otani's mind. So when it comes to that, whoever the Angels can get the better package from, I think that's what locks the deal up. There you go, Jason. I got kind of nervous there.
yeah, me too. I got booted, and I'm like, what the shit happened? So, and we're back.
That
We're
was
back.
That was Randy Levine trying to shut us down, bro. That's what it was.
You called them out earlier for calling him a dick. So,
Sorry, Randy.
exactly. So, I mean, backstage, he's got Judge to the Rangers. Uh,
Mm.
that's an interesting proposal there, an interesting prediction. They're going to be
They
aggressive.
got the money. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be aggressive. The Blue Jays are going to be aggressive. The Mariners are going to be aggressive. The Giants, the Dodgers, so many teams that are going to be aggressive. And so many of these guys have their eyes on Judge and other players too. That's why I don't expect Judge to last very long. Guys like Verlander, Rodon, some of these guys, I don't expect them to last very long.
Yeah.
Agency. So, and again, I think the Yankees being aggressive early on will be wise so that they're not waiting out the market and getting beat out by a lot of guys who could be really, really useful here. Now,
And that's why I said earlier, we right now Brian Cashman and how they need to be meeting right now to work on their deal, on Cashman's deal for this season, because we can't wait until after the World Series is done and we still don't have a GM. We still don't have Brian Cashman locked in because that's just putting us behind the eight ball. We need to go through these conversations and we need to get it done as fast as possible.
so true. So true. And speaking of pitching, Joe makes a good point too. Like I've thought about DeGrom. He's out of worldly when he's healthy, but he can't stay healthy. That's the problem, right? And averaging 74 innings for the past 3 seasons, like I get it. He's best pitcher in the universe when he's healthy. And
Mhm.
and Max Scherzer's starting to have little breakdowns too.
Yeah.
So because they're older guys. So I see DeGrom going elsewhere. I see him going probably to the Braves or something like that. Lower pressure.
Really, I honestly don't. I think Steve Cohen is not going to allow DeGrom to walk away. With Steve Cohen, I have a friend that's a part of the channel, Zook. He does the pickleball coverage. He covers the pickleball. He's a diehard Met fan. Zook literally follows Steve Cohen's like stock portfolio, and he's telling me every day, yeah, he has the money. He just sold this building. He just sold this painting. So Steve Cohen, he has like over like. He's worth $26 billion, and that's just on liquid assets. That's not even on further assets that we don't know about. So I don't think he's going to allow DeGrom to walk away.
I think I'm going to throw another pickle into this. I think he's going to let DeGrom walk and try to bring in Verlander. I think it'd be an obvious replacement right there.
Yeah.
Why I think being aggressive, and if they want Verlander, they got to jump early. The Yankees they got to jump and bring him in. Like you give him the big deal, give him the 1-year deal with the option for the second year, just like the Astros. Yeah. If he walks out, go ahead, walk. But I think it puts the Yankees in a better position. Him and Rodon are my 1-2 guys for the starting pitching, and I would rather have one of those guys than trading for Pablo Lopez. So
same.
And then again, Gleyber Torres, I think trying to move him to Detroit for Gregory Soto brings more value to the team than bringing Pablo Lopez to be like a number 4 starter, number 5.
Yeah,
So
if I'm making a trade for a starting pitcher, for a young starting pitcher, it has to be a pitcher that's already an ace of a staff. It's
yeah,
not the second tier ace or a pitcher that has potential to be an ace. I don't want a Michael Pineda, right? I don't want a James Paxton. I don't want a Jameson Tyone. No, if the Yankees are going to trade for somebody, trade for Sandy Alcantara, right? Trade for a pitcher that's already established and already is an ace.
yep. And we talked about this earlier, like tying into reactionary moves. I think the
Hmm.
Yankees be proactive and say, okay, what do we need to do to put us in a position to neutralize the teams that we can't freaking beat?
Hmm.
Instead of waiting for them to make a move and then saying, okay, what's our counter move with the leftovers we have left? Because they've been down that road before, like Keigawa, right? Jacoby Ellsbury. These are disasters, but they're all reactionary moves. So
Hmm.
I think the Yankees being aggressive and being early could put them in a position they could essentially lock up free agency the first month in free agency,
Yeah.
get all the pieces they need. They got CC Sabathia on day one, minute one of free agency in 2009.
Yep.
So
Right then and there.
yeah, man, and that's the type of aggressiveness I'd like to see. But we also need to like we need to feel like Hal Steinbrenner is actually willing to go down that far, right?
Hmm.
We need to
Now it's your boy. He has a good comment when it comes to Otani. When it comes to Otani,
I don't think you can handle New York, man.
I don't. It's not the thing with New York. It's if you're an owner and you're going to trade Otani, right? Otani is not just only a baseball player.
Yep.
He is a marketing golden goose. You got to understand the TV revenue that he brings because the games are played overseas in Japan. That right there is alone can start a brand new franchise just of the money that you're going to make off of just those TV ratings and that TV deal. So if you're going to trade for Otani, it has to be a bigger package than even the package that it's your boy got there on the screen, because you're not only trading for the baseball player, you're also trading for those money that's attached to it, those dollars.
And if anybody is a brand like Aaron Judge's, Otani's a brand.
Mhm.
And I worry about like that's a significant package for 1 year of Otani. But
Yeah.
if it was 3 years of Otani, I would have jumped all over it, right? This is worries me, but you're right. It's going to cost more than that to get Otani because of
Hmm.
his recognition, like who who he is now. I mean, he's essentially considered the modern day Babe Ruth. Now, I think that's a little too far because with the one season he had or two, Babe Ruth had 20 of them. So
Hmm.
it's a little bit tough for me to compare. But he draws comparisons to him. I mean, he could be qualified for the Cy Young and the MVP this year. Either one
Yeah.
he wants. He could be qualified for both. So that makes him a really, really good player. And again, I do think he's a little unhappy in Anaheim. So, and I do think he will get moved, whether it's this offseason or at the deadline, and they will get a boatload of people for him. Because I don't think the Angels are going to be competitive anytime soon, unfortunately. Um, even with Trout, right? Even with Rendon can't stay healthy, really. And
Hmm.
so they need, like Judge, they need to bring a guy like Judge there to make them competitive.
But that's the thing when you look at the Angels, they're bottom five when it comes to their minor leagues also. So they're not producing any prospects either. You know, they're missing on a lot. Joe Adell came up and Joe Adell hasn't lived up to his top prospect ranking. So a lot of their prospects have fallen off for the benchmark.
Exactly, and exactly. So, and speaking of like prospects, going back to the Yankees, I think one of the things the Yankees have a ton of is position prospects. They don't have a lot of pitching prospects in their top 30. Well, they have a little
Yeah.
bit more, but still, it's a heavily balanced towards position prospects. But one of the
Hmm.
things they are good at is developing relief pitchers, right? So, and
Hmm.
that's the last kind of segment we have here is relief pitching. And I've already mentioned potentially packaging Gleyber Torres for Gregory Soto. And I think Greg thought was a decent idea too. Where do you see them going here? There's one guy, and I mentioned earlier that Edwin Diaz is the sexy name, right? But he's going to cost 100 million bucks. And Rafael Montero, he's a setup man for Houston. He's a power arm. He averages 96 miles an hour. He's shut down in the playoffs.
Hmm.
Free agent. So if you can get him at like half the price, I would definitely try to bring in a Rafael Montero. You'd also be taken away from Houston as well. And you add him with the other guys. I mean, they got Lichty, Peralta, Clay Holmes, Michael King will be back. Loizaga, Trevino, like guys like that. Efrost is out for the season. But if let's just say you brought in Montero and Gregory Soto, it would take a load off a lot of the bullpen and give you guys some two massive shutdown weapons. What are your thoughts on the bullpen?
Well, when it comes to the bullpen, Edwin Diaz, he was a sexy name this year, right? The trumpets, whatever. The trumpets, copy, cool. Um, I don't think the Yankees are going to offer a reliever over $100 million. That's just me personally. I don't think, because he's going to get it, whether it's from the Mets or from some other team. Somebody's going to give him $100 million, and they're going to beat that trumpet song like a dead drum. You're going to hear that on every commercial. You're going to hear the trumpets. So get used to it. Whatever team he goes to, whatever market he goes to, get ready to see a bunch of commercials with some trumpets. Just know that. When it comes to the bullpen, I love the Rafael Montero addition, because he's going to be way cheaper than Edwin Diaz. And at the same time, like you said, especially these past like 10 years, the Yankees have been very good when it comes to developing relievers, guys coming out the bullpen. So if we could not re-up, but if we could acquire Montero to shore up that bullpen, have another season from Clay Holmes, he's going to come back. Jonathan Lazion is going to come back. I don't want to rush Michael King. Let Michael King recover properly. We're going to have a full season of Ron Marinaccio, so we can finally see from Ron Marinaccio what he actually is. So, yeah, when it comes to the bullpen, and like you said, when it comes to the prospects, like the Yankees have a lot of position players when it comes to prospects. I'm cool with building up your prospect and your farm system on position players and bullpen arms, and going out there and spending your money on the top eights, the top pitching ace that's out there. Now, I want to ask you this. Now, Yankee fans, I want to know your feelings on this. When it comes to a starting pitcher, are you gonna entertain Trevor Bauer?
Oh, damn. Oh man, is he banned for 2020?
I have no idea. I was looking through the starting pitcher like free agent list or whatever, and his name was the number one. I was like, oh, let me just save this so I can ask Jason.
I see mad YouTube videos of him pitching to high school and college players, like mowing them down like but like I don't know, man. He's a very controversial player, but he's a good pitcher.
Really, he is. He's a phenomenal pitcher.
Yeah, I mean they'd have to obviously talk to Garrett Cole, because they weren't best of friends.
Yeah, they can't stand each other.
So I don't know how you're gonna make that one work, but I don't know. If you maybe bring him in on a minor league deal if he plays well.
Hey, listen, if we're entertaining Carlos Correa, why not entertain Trevor Bauer, right?
Like the freaking UFC over here.
Exactly. We got Domingo Herman, who had his troubles.
Chapman had his troubles too.
Chapman had his troubles too.
God. Oh, man, the Four Horsemen. I can only imagine. Jesus, like Bonnie and Clyde times two. I don't know, man. I don't know. But, like, again, they've had a hard time keeping starting pitchers. And, I mean, it would be worth entertaining, but I think it would piss off a lot of fans. He'd have to, and the other thing, too, is, like, they didn't prove anything in court.
No.
Any wrongdoing in court. So, but perception of him became so toxic that the perception became the reality. I understand he does freaky stuff. A lot of people do freaky stuff. Like,
yeah, we don't listen. We don't kink shame, right? We don't kink shame, Jason.
Yeah. So, and again, he didn't get in trouble for harming anybody or whatever. Like, so that has to be said too. But I get it. I think he's just toxic and whatnot. But again, the dude can pitch. So, and he was cleared in court. So that has to be considered too. And you never know. If he comes here, stays out of trouble, and throws bullets and gets dudes out, then it's kind of hard to, kind of hard to complain about that stuff. So, and again, would I choose Verlander over him? Probably.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely choose Verlander over him.
I choose a lot of these guys over him, but if he's the only one out there, then my guess is they'll probably have to entertain it. But I don't know when the hell he's reinstated. Is it 2023, 20? I have no idea.
Oh, I have no idea. I just saw him listed as the number one pitching free agent. Like they had him listed as the number one pitching free agent. Like that's a free agent. So I was like, oh, I definitely got to ask Jason about this.
I'll take him over this guy.
Oh yeah, definitely over Andrew Heaney. Jesus Christ.
He's like 3,000 with the Yankees, and this is a good one by Dion. He's the Deshaun Watson MVP.
You right about that. You right about that, Gian.
Yeah, but without the 12 lawsuits or whatever the hell it is, but it's true. It's true. Like that's a tough one, man. What would you do?
Listen, like you said, if Garrett Cole okays it, and the he's going through the civil. When it comes to the criminal court, they didn't find anything criminally, right? He wasn't charged criminally. They didn't find anything criminally. The civil lawsuit is what we're waiting on. So whatever happens with the civil lawsuit, if he's paid out, if that's done before spring training, like you said, he's a phenomenal pitcher. You have to entertain the conversation. You're not a good GM if you're not even just thinking about this, if you're not having a conversation about it.
Yeah, and it's just like it draws comparisons to guys like Mike Tyson and Kobe Bryant,
Hmm.
also accused of things. And Mike Tyson did some time and whatever because whatever happened, whatever happened, some girls came to his room at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Hmm.
Okay, they came to have a bowl of cereal with him. Right. Okay. But anyway, we wanted to watch a movie. The Notebook. Like that. Come on, right? And then Kobe
Listen,
Bryant.
I love the Notebook, but it's not that good to watch 3 o'clock in the morning. Trust me.
Man, exactly. And Kobe Bryant was accused of rape. So the perception became the reality. But Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant, was a basketball legend. Mike
Hmm.
Tyson, boxing legend. Okay, I couldn't take my eyes off either one of them when they were boxing or playing.
Yeah.
So it has happened. It has.
Adrian Peterson, another perfect example. The thing what happened with him and his kid and stuff, he was able to still play football. Listen, A-Rod literally sued the Yankees during the season back in the days. Like A-Rod literally hired a PR firm, right, to fake signs with the same marker that says we support A-Rod. He literally got a group of people from Washington Heights, put them in a van, drove them down to the Major League Baseball office, all gave them this. Listen, there was 30 people there, all with the same sign, all written with the same pen and same handwriting. We love A-Rod. Come on.
He's got some look us, man. He has some balls, man. To do that type of stuff. Like this, the nerve people have. Like he's universally hated around.
Yeah.
People think he's just an a-hole, and he doesn't do himself any favors when he tries. I mean, he just becomes a big phony. But again, can't doubt the guy's talent, and he's a smart
Hmm.
baseball mind. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, people have mentioned him as a coach. I don't see it in New York, but maybe somewhere else. Maybe Miami,
Yeah. Maybe Seattle.
maybe Seattle. Exactly. And speaking of not Seattle, but speaking, I mean, signing Devers tonight. Well, Devers has one more season before he's a free agent.
Hmm.
But I do have some intel on him. He's in the DR right now, and the reps for Boston went to DR. They're trying to lock up a 7-year extension for him now. So
Hmm.
that might happen. That might not happen. But they went out there to try to lock down a 7-year deal. The details I don't know yet. So he
Yeah.
might mark it one way or another. But he would be the guy that would back up the bring truck for next year as a third baseman if they don't get some of these guys. So
He always scares me. His whenever the Yankees are facing the Red Sox, that's who I
well,
don't want Devers to beat us. I'll take anyone else but Devers,
him,
honestly.
him and Yordan Alvarez, they frighten the hell out of me. They just frighten the hell out of
Hmm.
me for Yankee killers, man. And obviously other guys in Houston too, but and Christian Vasquez is also a Yankee killer too.
Mm,
So which one reason
yeah.
I take him away from him too? But looks at me. I mean, we've got some other comments as well. We got yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. Breaking news. The Knicks just beat the Charlotte Hornets 134 to 131 in overtime. Let's go, baby.
I gotta tell you. I mean, I gotta confess that trailer for the Knicks Morning Brew kind of sexy. It was kind.
Appreciate you, dog. Appreciate you, dog.
They have you haven't seen if you guys haven't seen Yankees Morning Brew or Nights of DJ, they're gonna have a basketball conversation, Morning Brew about the Knicks, okay?
Hmm.
And they have some phenomenal people on. They've had a lot of Yankee people. They had Tiki Barber on the other day to talk sports, and Jerry Farrar from Entourage. Like they bring some very good minds who give different perspectives on the podcast. And I have a lot of fun with these guys. You got Jigga Man on there as well. They have some really great minds, and they have a lot of different people. And like we do, they have to invite regular folks on, right, to have
Hmm.
conversations because everybody's mind and opinions matter. So if
Yeah.
you guys haven't gone to Nights of DJ, please do, and please support them by subscribing to the channel. It is a wonderful, wonderful channel. Again, I see these guys doing some big stuff. So, but
No,
I'm looking forward.
I appreciate you, brother. The next morning brew, the first episode is debuting this Friday, 11 o'clock in the morning. And like Jason said, we do have an open panel, right, for basketball and for baseball. So if you're a baseball fan, if you always want to jump into these conversations and it's hard for you like to build your own platform, you're more than welcome to come on to the Nights of DJ and come on to the Yankees morning brew or come on to the Knicks morning brew and have conversation. Everybody's welcome. Like Jason would tell you, I always make sure to let people know that it's a non-debate format, right? Everybody's opinion is welcome as long as everybody is respectful to one another. That's the only thing I ask. As long as you're respectful to everybody, you could talk about the Knicks, the Yankees, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we apply the same standard here, guys. That's why.
Mm.
I mean, we love this channel. We love the Morning Brew crew too. So we're gonna keep it going. And Look at that comment right there. We need some passionate players to team who dislike losing. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Probably Brent mentioned guys because like how many guys on the team right now that you could see that are vocally distasteful and hate losing? I can't think of many. Right? Paul's one. Like they're legitimately pissed off when you see these guys. Like I want to kill somebody. You know,
The only person I could say is Judge, because no matter what happens, if he hits a home run or not, if the team doesn't win, then he's not happy, and he lets it know that he's not happy. Besides that, Garrett Cole, when he gets frustrated, but besides that, I don't know. We thought that's what we were going to get out of Josh Donaldson, but it wasn't. Josh Donaldson, he was more of a dick than he was a leader.
Yeah, I could agree. Yeah, 100%. I mean, more of a pot stirrer and just troublemaker to a degree. And it just and his offense never really even came close to his defense. So, and I think he wore his welcome out quite a bit ago. So I
when
see.
when that moment happened with between him and Tim Anderson, for
Yeah,
the rest of the season, the Yankees were 50 and 51 for the rest of the season.
yeah,
Let
exactly.
that let that sink in.
Yeah, and what were they before that? For him, 50 and
They,
12.
they were like 46 and 17, or 40 something and 17, something like that.
It's ridiculous. So I see him moving. I see Hicks being moved too. And they're going to have to eat money on both of these guys, no doubt about it. Maybe
hmm
catch a prospect, but again, you got to clear up these two roster spots and bring in
Oh,
some.
Rizzo. Yeah, I forgot Rizzo. Fritz made a great point. Rizzo is a player that he doesn't like to lose. Great point, Fritz.
Exactly. Well, yeah, and these guys come from winning pedigrees to winning environments. With the Cubs, some of these guys with the Red Sox, these guys are used to winning, and they hate losing. You could see like Christian Vasquez, why one of the reasons I brought it
hmm
up. And it's those we need more of those guys all across the board. Bader's one of these guys. He's a gamer. His energy is infectious,
hmm
absolutely infectious, and
Yeah.
we need more of those guys.
He's right. He said Chris N says Beta has that Nick Swisher type energy, and he's right. He's that type of player. He's that type of energy. He exudes, or he vaporates like he seems like he's from the Bronx. He's from Bronxville, and he seems like he's a true New Yorker. Harrison Bader.
Yep, Horseman kid, no doubt about it, man. No doubt about
hmm
it. Into JJ Bell's comment too. Cole didn't like Don State. I mean, I got to
Yeah.
give him some credit. He went up and apologized to Cole, whatever the hell happened there, and he made amends. And Cole's also a big boy. He's a grown up, so
hmm
he wants to make this work no matter what. Like I remember a couple of years ago, we got in Brett Gardner's face when Brett Gardner was mocking him. So
Yeah.
on Gardner's face, but then he wound up apologizing to Gardner. He's a grown up. Okay,
hmm
those types of folks. Not every leader is going to be that vocal. But if I'm
hmm
if I'm thinking of leaders, I'm thinking of guys like Cole and stuff like that too. So it's not only Judge, it's other guys. So I like to give credit across the board where it's too, but like guys like Bader, we need more. That's why I like Benintendi. I mean, some of these guys as well, like Correa would bring the a-hole hated factor. Trey Turner would bring that just infectious energy. So they would bring different dynamics to the team, right? Now,
Trey Turner would bring that swag that we thought we was going to get from Clint Frazier.
yeah,
That little spiciness, that little spice, that little spicy white boy. That's what Trey Turner's going to bring to us. That's what we thought we was getting out of Clint Frazier, right? But never turned out. Clint Frazier, who's now Jackson Frazier. I didn't realize that until this week. But yeah, that's what we thought we was going to get out of Clint, but it never turned out. But Trey Turner has that swag. He has that same thing like Anthony Rizzo. If you guys don't follow Anthony Rizzo on social media, on Instagram, Anthony Rizzo, he's out there in the streets. He has the pulse of the fans when it comes to the people that are in the streets of New York City.
yes, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. This guy, and you see him at the Rangers games, right? With
hmm
Judge and DJ, the chugging beers, just hanging out with everybody. Like,
Yeah.
I love seeing that. Love seeing that. To me,
hmm
like, being emaciating themselves or engrossing themselves in the New York vibe, the New York City atmosphere, the New York City. Because I mean, in New York City, at least for me, growing up in there my whole life, I mean, they love to embrace people. They love to
Yeah.
welcome people. It's not as this or just rude as a lot of folks think. But one of the things I appreciate is where you stand, good or bad, right from the start. There's no phoniness, right, in New York City. Right from the start, and that's something folks may not like it, but I grow to appreciate that, and I rather have that than a phony,
hmm
phony everywhere. So
Look at what Knick fans did for Jeremy Lin for those 2 weeks. That was only 2 weeks for Jeremy Lin. He was a national story.
yeah, Harvard boy, Linsanity, baby,
Yeah,
unbelievable. He was phenomenal in that 2 weeks too. I mean,
he was.
he could ball. I mean,
hmm
I miss him. I miss him.
Yeah.
I like Jalen Brunson. I like these other guys too, and I can't wait to talk Knicks with you guys too. So
Oh yeah, you definitely, Jason. You know, there's an open door policy. You don't even need to ask. You're more than welcome anytime you want to come on. We do it. We're gonna do it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
perfect, man. And you know,
And and it's gonna be a little bit different from the Yankees Morning Brew, especially on Friday. Friday we're gonna have like a trivia contest. You know, we're gonna offer people, Knicks trivia. You can win money, different brackets every week, $25 a week, nights of DJ sweaters and stuff like that. So we're gonna have a lot of things for basketball this year.
that's pretty awesome, man. I'm looking
Hmm.
forward to it, man. One thing we haven't mentioned: the bench.
Mm.
Who's on the bench with the guys that we mentioned? And again, anybody out in the audience here, do you have any other players that you think should be included in this? Let's get Wilson Contreras, 22 runs, 113 games. It's possible. It's gonna be expensive though. So, which is one reason I
Hmm.
like Christian to more of a complimentary catcher, the platoon. Wilson Contreras, he's gonna have to be the starter here, at least in my opinion, if he comes.
Yeah.
So, but he's an elite catcher, there's no doubt about it. But
He's he's a phenomenal offensive catcher. He's real good defensively. His pitch framing is not as good as Vasquez and Trevino, but besides that, he one ups them in every other category, offensively and defensively. It's just his pitch framing is not as good as Trevino and Vasquez.
yeah, and he's gonna be expensive, very expensive.
Hmm.
Trevino I think, has 3 more years of arbitration. So,
Hmm.
and if like the Yankees are going to spend expensive on a couple guys, they're going to go cheap in other areas to balance things out, right? So
Yeah.
they're going to have as many controllable players as they can to kind of mix them in with expensive players. So, but they do have 112 million coming off the books. So
Hmm.
let's just say they get Judge at 40,
Hmm.
and Verlander at 30. That's 70, and
Hmm.
you bring in whatever Trey Turner at 30. That's 100 already. But those three
Hmm.
guys make a difference. And you fill out other areas as well. And again, the payroll threshold keeps going up little by little.
Hmm.
And the Yankees have more money coming off after this year as well.
Yeah.
Another 30 or 40 million next year, and they keep going. And if they move guys like Donaldson and Hicks, even if they eat money, they're clearing more money off the books.
Hmm.
But that's kind of how I think they like to do it. So somebody just said you trade for pitching. Yeah. I mean, Texas Buckeye, who would you trade for? Like, I I'm no longer interested in trading for Pablo Lopez. I think they can do
Hmm.
that. If I'm trading for
Yeah.
pitching, I'm trading for relief pitching. Um,
Hmm.
I think there's enough guys on the market for starters that can accommodate a Yankee starting rotation. I think Rodon and Verlander are the two guys.
I will ask you, say like we strike out on Verlander, right? If we land Rodon, will you take a flyer on Noah Syndergaard?
Maybe as a
You
back
know,
guy, or somebody like Martin Perez from
hmm
Texas. He can throw some years, but Syndergaard's got a big arm.
hmm
He's been doing okay with the Phillies so far.
Would
Um,
you try to convince him to switch to the bullpen, to come out the bullpen? Because I think in the stage of his career right now, he's at a fork in the road. He could go to Rafael Montero route, go to the bullpen and be a dominating reliever, or he could try to make it work as a starting pitcher and he still get hit with injuries and injuries and injuries. I think if he wants to maximize his ability as a pitcher, he needs to transition into the bullpen.
That's a good question. I would probably do the same. Probably ask him to be like I'd want you to be like a power long relief guy.
Hmm.
Go 2 3 innings, just darts, nasty darts. Like, yeah, I would be up for that. And again, like, you're right too, because I think if he transitions to bullpen, it'd probably be less taxing in his arm, and he won't be injured as much.
Hmm.
And those big arms who get injured tend to do well when they translate to the bullpen or transfer to the bullpen. So that's a good point. It's a good idea.
Hmm.
I never thought of
Yeah,
that. So
I'll take him only for the bullpen. I'm not trying to have him in the rotation or rely on his arm. If I'm going into a season and Noah Syndergaard is the only starting pitcher that I bring in and I'm relying on him, I shot myself in the foot.
100%. He can't be the guy that they bring in
Mhm.
the starting rotation. Neither can Martin Perez. I like Martin Perez,
Yeah,
but he's going to be a complimentary guy. Like, it's got to
yeah.
be Verlander or Rodon. It's got to
Hmm.
be. Or, I mean, again, Degrom is appealing, but again, it's too risky. So
Yeah,
those are the two guys. It has to be one of them. I mean,
yeah.
who else could it be? And I don't know anybody who I would trade for that might be available that's better than these guys. I mean,
Hmm.
Corbin Burns is not available. So, like, none of these guys are going to be available. So, those are the two obvious guys. And again, I'm going after David Bednar or Gregory Soto for the bullpen.
Hmm.
Big arms up in here, man. So, and because they have, remember, Chapman's gone. Britton's likely gone. Miguel Castro's probably gone as a free agent too, and then Efrost is out. That's 4 guys right there that are no longer
Mhm.
here.
Chad Green, he's done with the Yankees. He's never going to come back with the Yankees because he was a free agent after the season anyway.
And he's still got Tommy John, which he's going to take probably the whole season to recover from anyway. So I don't see him. So that's 5 guys already that are most likely not coming back.
Would you bring back Britain for a low deal, like for less money? Would you bring back Britain?
Maybe an incentive full.
Yeah.
But I think he could probably get something elsewhere. But I would offer it to him. I mean, because when he's healthy, he's reliable. He's good,
Hmm.
and he's a guy that he's performed. But he's
I could see him going back home to Baltimore where he started his career.
Yep, I could see that too.
Hmm.
I definitely see it. I could see a couple guys going to Baltimore. So, and they're kind of on the upswing too, right? So they're right
Yeah.
around the corner from competing. So,
Whatever happens, just the Yankees need to worry, and Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman, they need to understand that this offseason is a very important offseason.
yes,
Since 2009, since the Yankees last been to the World Series and won a World Series, there has been 15 different teams that just made it to the World Series.
yeah, look at
That
that.
that can't sit well with anyone that's a part of the Yankees organization.
Yeah, and again, so for so long it's been World Series or bust, right? And we haven't heard that from the people at the top in a
Hmm.
long time. And we need to get back that bulldog mentality because that pit bull bulldog, I haven't seen in a while too. Like I called it this year, the Bronx Country Club instead of the Bronx Zoo. Well, last year I called it that, and we saw it right.
Yeah.
And we just got a little bit of the zoo this year. And so
Hmm.
we need to keep going and getting guys like that are gonna kind of complement each other and feed off each other and again lead when the people at the top aren't leading, which
I want to
is
shout out Boricua Nation de la Isla. Bori, what's good, my guy?
in the house. What do you guys just they've been great. And one of the big members of the 161 right there. Props to you too, Boy One Nation. Wepa.
Hmm.
That's right. That's right. We love this. We're going to do more of these collaborations, Boy. And we have a couple. We got a collab coming up soon. We're going to be doing MLB free agent predictions. It's going to be the 2 of
Hmm.
us and then 2 other. Going to have NYY recaps and we're going to have Ball Cap Sports on. It's going to be the 4 of us, the 4 horsemen, and we're going to go over everything, the predictions, and that one's going to be lit. That one's going to be
Yeah,
hot.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that one.
And that one, we got 300 plus people on here right now. That's probably going to be double that, I think, because they're going to be promoting it on their channels as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Hmm. Hmm.
It'd be good to have 4 different perspectives on who's going to
Yeah.
go there.
Yeah, we're setting something up, and I'm gonna do this to lasso you into it also. But at the end of November, I'm setting something up I have Scott Braun from MLB Network back on the channel. If you
Nice.
haven't checked it out, guys, I had an interview with Scott Braun from the MLB Network. Phenomenal conversation. But he's gonna come back onto the show to talk about MLB free agency, and I would love to have you in for that conversation as well. Jerry Ferrara for the next Morning Brew. That should be, I'm not sure if it's this Friday, but definitely next week he will be on, and that's something I would love to have you a part of as well, Jason.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And if anybody doesn't know who Jerry Ferrara or is familiar with the name, it's Turtle from the movie Entourage.
Mhm.
So big sports fan, good dude. He knows his stuff. So the
Oh yeah.
are always on point. That's we
Mhm.
love people like that. Tiki Barber, he knows his stuff. Other
Mhm.
sports. He's a football turned marathoner who also knows a lot of baseball. Like, he's super well rounded. Super.
Yeah.
He's a cool dude too. Like so.
Tiki's awesome, man. Since I've joined the Knights of DJ, I've been with them for the past 4 going on 5 months, and several events I've met Tiki Barber in the city, and he's a regular dude. You would never think that he's somebody that was a professional athlete. He is so down to earth and so awesome. Like it was the second event that I was there for, I was outside on the phone. He literally called me from across the street. Was like, Hector, because he noticed me from across the street. He is so down to earth and he is so cool.
Gotta love that. I absolutely love that, man. See, and this is what makes these things fun when you get that people like that on here, and it just takes a whole perspective to a whole other level. But Dion too, Arenado's he has an opt out, which he hasn't exercised yet. He still has 5 years, 175 million left on his deal, 35 per for 5. But I'm hearing that he's kind of opt out, or they're going to try to renegotiate his deal and add a couple of years on his back end. So if he opts out, he's obviously going to be a free agent. So it's something to look for. If he does, you'll know about it from us right away.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think Arenado's going to wind up staying with St. Louis. they have the money to spend. They don't have a lot of big money attached to certain players, so they got the money to spend for the guys that they want to spend with. And he's very comfortable in St. Louis. He said it multiple times, so I could see him going back to St. Louis. But then again, you never know. Anybody could just swoop in, come in with a big offer, and you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I every year there's always like somebody who's like, he signed where? What the like? I never thought Seattle was going to get Luis Castillo.
No, I never thought either.
That was the last place I thought, but they got him. But this is what makes baseball so fascinating, right? Because the unpredictability of the nature of the sport is just, and then the competitive balance of him going to Seattle changes the landscape of the American League a little bit. So
Mhm.
now we're hearing Toronto's going to do some things, and then we're hearing Texas. Like that kind of gives a little bit more competitive balance across the American League. And all of a sudden, you're going to hear other teams like the Reds gave up. They shopped almost everybody. But then the Rockies might do something, or the Cardinals are probably going to do something. So, and who would have thought the Mets were going to sign everybody last offseason? They did.
Yeah.
Like, this is what's so cool about it.
Yep. And Yankee fans, we gotta be worried because Uncle Steve Cohen, he got the checkbook, he got the money to spend with the best of them. And I think Hal Steinbrenner should be worried. And you need to tap into the essence of your father and realize what would George do in this moment.
Yep. And again, the last thing we want, I think, is the Mets to take over this town. And in my opinion, they don't take over the town until they win the World Series. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's just my opinion. And but like I never thought somebody just pointed it to The Rock and so on. Yeah, I never thought Machado was going to go to the Padres. I didn't think
Yes, yeah.
I didn't think Bryce Harper was going to go to the Phillies, but it just happened. Like I didn't think the Padres were going to trade for like 5 starters, but they did. So they got everybody: Musgrove, Snell, Yu Darvish, all in 1 year. It's like, geez Louise, man.
Yeah. They're not scared to go out there and spend and trade and do what they have to do.
Yeah, I mean, this is why, like Sam makes a good point. Signing Verlander and that would be super sexy, right? That's better than CC and AJ.
You could never have enough pitching.
Yeah, you can never
That's
have
all
an
I'm gonna say.
100% right, man. 100%. Yankees always have a pitcher go down. So thankfully, for the most part, stayed healthy this year. But adding those 2 guys changes things for the Yankees. But they have to be willing to actually do it. Like I want
Mhm.
us to wake up one day and be like, "Yo, the Yankees actually did it, man! I can't believe they just shoved everybody and signed boom, 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 boom. They pulled the Mets on everybody." And we're like, "Yo, shout out to RC right here. Thank you for the
I'll
dawn.
see what it do, baby.
That's good, man. I hope everyone's sorry I'm late. It's all good, man. You should hire Jeter as a special advisor would be a good idea, RC. I mean,
Yeah.
first, a fresh mind. He comes from a winning pedigree. He's a legend in New York, right? And a special advisor to me would be I think, a more productive position for him over being the GM, and it would allow him to
Mhm.
ease back into things in New York, and to eventually become a GM or team president or whatnot. What are your thoughts about that, Hector?
Well, when it comes to Jeter, I said it earlier in the morning. Jeter, when he was with Miami, the job he had with the Marlins, it was Randy Levine's job with the Yankees,
Yep.
right? When it comes to the pecking order of things, it's Hal, it's Randy, and then it's Brian. I don't think Jeter is going to come into a situation where he takes a demotion from the position he was to be a general manager. I think if it comes down to it in the future, Jeter will be replacing Randy Levine, and the GM will be somebody that Derek Jeter knows from either his days with the Marlins or his days with the Yankees. Because if you remember, the GM he had with the Marlins, she was with the Yankees, and Jeter hired her and knew her from the Yankees. So it could be a situation where Jeter wants to do the same thing with the Yankees, bring in somebody that either he groomed or someone that he know from Miami, that the GM that he hired, that she groomed.
Absolutely. That's Kim Ng. She was assistant
Mhm.
to Brian Cashman. And now that I think about it, I don't know if Cashman's ever replaced her. Do we have an
No, he
assistant?
hasn't.
Somebody
I'll
who
tell
could
you right now. Hold on. I'll tell you right now because I had it. I pulled it up.
I don't I can't think of anybody. I really can't. Like, it might be just Cashman.
We had 2 assistant GMs, her and another person, right?
Was it
When
Epler?
she
Epler and then went over to the Angels, I think, right? Billy Epler?
Yeah, hold on. I'll tell you right now. Let me get it up.
Yeah, man. I lost with that. Yeah, I remember this too. When not that one. Ain't go crazy. Marlins traded everyone with G. They did it twice. The Marlins. When they won the World Series, they gutted the whole thing afterward, and they'll rebuilt and won again. Y'all remember when the part when the lost battalion where the soldier that was interrogated says, "You have a bunch of angry Jews in Poland." Oh, man, I don't remember that, man. That one's pretty intense. The part of the last, I don't remember that, but it sounds intense, too. Let's see.
All right. So when it comes to the Yankees, I got it right here. So yeah, the assistant Jean Afterman, she's been with the Yankees since 2001, and Michael Fishman has been with the Yankees since 2005. But the Houston Astros, they have three assistant general managers. So you got the senior assistant general manager, the assistant general manager, and then the minor general manager. So there's three different roles that goes on, but they haven't replaced her.
Interesting.
Yeah, but this is why I say, like, if you look at the Yankees hierarchy, Brian Cashman has been with the Yankees since 1986, right? Gene Afterman, she's been with the Yankees since 2001. Michael Fishman has been with the Yankees since 2005. Team Naring has been with the Yankees since 2007. Damon Oppenheimer has been with the Yankees since 2001, and Kevin Reese has been with the Yankees since 2007. So it's been so many guys has been with this team for just too long.
It's true, and I don't think anybody's gonna be penetrating that triangle. Hal, Cashman, Boone. Boone does exactly what Cashman wants. Cashman does exactly what Hal wants, right? It's gonna be very hard to penetrate that. As long as they keep swimming in money, making mad profits, it's gonna be very hard to move these guys. And that's, again, like I said a couple days ago, you want to make a difference as fans, hit him where it's in the pocket. If he doesn't fill the stadium, if he's losing subscription membership, these guys get like 10 layers of revenues. Hit him where it hurts in the pockets if you want him to really take it seriously. That's
and you could do that more with the Yankees than you can with the New York Knicks, because I brought it up earlier. The New York Knicks, the reason why the New York Knicks, they're so profitable is because they're on 34th Street, right? That's prime real estate. That's tourist central. That's shopping central. That's everything. That's the city's heart, right in the middle of it. It's everything right there on 34th Street.
Yep.
Nobody's going to rent. No European tourists that are on 34th Street are randomly going to take the D train to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx to go hang out. No, it doesn't work like that. So with the Yankees, you could hit the Yankees more in their pockets than you can with the Knicks. If the Knicks fans were to just walk away, they'll just fill those seats with tourists, people from Germany, Europe, Amsterdam, whatever. You can't do that with Yankee Stadium.
Yep, and you got Penn Station right next door. You got Macy's a block away right there. I'm like, you got everything. Yankee Stadium, what do you have? You have Grand Concourse and the 4 train. That's it, right? Occasional shop here and there, store, bodega, whatever. But like, it's a different world than Midtown Manhattan. It's a different world. So
yeah,
that's a great point, man. It makes sense. And like the way it looks like we're gonna sign Pavana, yeah, probably. Pavana was a disaster.
Oh my God, bro.
Yeah, I
bro,
mean,
trading for Jeff Weaver, right? Jesus Christ, Jared Wright, Carl Pavano, like you said. Oh
God, yeah. I mean, Jared Wright was 10 years too late this year. So in '97, he was dominant. They brought him in like 2007 when he was, I don't know what, he was way past his prime. I know they brought him sexy in for a little while. Bartolo Colon, he was decent, but like I think he still pitches like 50. He pitches somewhere.
Oh yeah, he's pitching in some beer league softball someplace in Washington Heights. He's actually down the block, probably pitching in the park from my house.
Hey, man, he does his ropes and his timers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But this is a great time, man. I want to thank you for coming on, man.
Of course, bro. You know, anytime you need me, I'm here.
Yeah, man. All you folks have been watching it, please check out Nights of Dejan, Yankees Morning Brew, soon to be Knicks Morning Brew. Please support his channel by subscribing and liking the channel. If anybody in here hasn't liked or subscribed here, please do that as well on the way out. We'd like to continue to do this. It's really helpful to the channels, and it allows us to continue to put out free stuff for you guys and gals, which is what we want to continue to do. But we appreciate.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the chat. I'm gonna put the channel's name in the chat so that way you guys can look it up. It's Nights of Dejan. It's just so people know, Nights of Dejan is an NFT project that operates in the metaverse. If you guys are familiar with like the Bored Apes, the Nights of Dejan is the second most popular NFT project that's in the metaverse, right? So it's basically just sports and betting. You know, we do everything. We cover sports. On Fridays we have like an online casino that we have virtual horse racing, virtual baseball, virtual boxing, virtual fighting, everything on Friday nights. And then during the week, we just cover the Yankees, the Knicks. If you guys are interested in pickleball, we just got we just locked in covering the main pickleball league. It's the pickleball league that LeBron has a team, Drew Brees has a team, Tom Brady has a team. So it is a lot of things are going to happen for 2023, and I'm gonna make sure that my man right here, Jason, is gonna come on for the ride. Trust me.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna do it. I think we might have to add like what's that other one? Curling to this channel. I've never seen a
Oh
sport
God.
where something goes so slow and people are screaming at the top of their lungs to each other. For then they're going like, "Ah!" Nuts.
There's a guy that his name is Worldwide Mayberry. He runs a Knicks channel for the love of the game. I used to be on with him, but he is a diehard curling fan. I never met somebody that loved curling so much like he does. We literally used to cover curling on For the Love of the Game because of Worldwide L.
That's such an intense sport. Like I every time it's on TV, I'm hooked.
Yeah,
And,
no, it is.
and this thing moves like it's like this, like that for the whole. It's like
It moves so slow, but at the same time, they go so fast.
violent. It looks like they're like sideways, man. It's just crazy. And
It's
it's
ridiculous.
it's crazy. And they have Olympics now. So I'm watching it. But guys and gals, please watch Nights at DJ. Please watch Yankees Morning Brew. Hector, peace and love.
Appreciate you, brother.
Always great conversation. Always love your perspective. I'll see you on Friday for the Knicks chat.
Yes,
Peace and
sir.
love, everybody. Over and out.
Later, y'all.